So I haven't really been able to show you. Kind of a extra situation because I can't just cut up under it and cut on the top of it. Make sure that it doesn't pinch and bind up my bar on my chainsaw. So there's probably a better way. I'm no expert in this, but that's why I'm cutting 2 cuts and cutting that chunk out kind of wide and getting in there as much as I can before I, and I'm gonna cut here and I'm gonna cut down there and I'm gonna roll this out of my way, and it'll be a lot easier to cut the back out without having to worry about the same problem. But yo, what's up? But I just have bad service out here and I tried to show it, but I didn't check before I come out here how much gas I had for the chainsaw. And I think I need some more chainsaw bar lube. I'm about to check it. But this hurricane done made a mess. There's another set of squash growing, which is good. I have mixed feelings when mulch dams the creek, because on one hand it lets it hold more water and it slows down the movement of water and it filters the water. But on the other hand, sometimes I'm not really ready for that level to rise so high before I've built up upstream to the right. I don't really have that dam so much, so I want it to be. I would like to have I'd like to have it pretty much fill up and slowly trickle and empty out, and pretty much keep the water volume with a slight movement, and then have it go into the pond and then overflow the pond into the swamp instead of just being a mud puddle of mosquitoes. So I see here that water's flowing pretty fast right there. A lot of this isn't earth, a lot of this is decaying wood, and so a lot of it is spilling off into the swamp, which probably wouldn't be happening if there wasn't so many check dams. But it's filtering the water, and it's good for the water to be filtered before it goes into the pond. They're building them a nice little house over there. They cleared every bit of timber, and so now instead of the crows meeting over there, they meet right here. And it may be something to do with this that I've built here, because think of kind of like a stadium. That's kind of how the land over there is shaped, and it used to just flow into here, and all of this is just mud with little pockets of muddy water full of mosquitoes. And I kind of channeled it to a point and slowed it down a little bit. It doesn't run year round constantly, just when the rains come in. But I think it has the potential to, if it could be slowed down enough, it could be timed right to where about the time it's about to be empty, more rains fill it back up, more water. See, all this water just used to run off this hill too, and it didn't move on a path this way. It just, with this water that come out of that valley and this water off this hill, it would just flow down into all that mud. And about the only trees down that way are willows because it's so wet. And you'd walk out here and mosquitoes would just carry you off. And I've made habitat for mosquito fish and for dragonflies, which the dragonflies already had some habitat with the pond. But I really need to clear them trees so I can get my wheelbarrow in here. You see all them fallen trees from the storm? And where I'm digging those ponds over there in the high area, I'm gonna move that dirt and put it on this ridge here and build this up so that this can hold more water before it overflows out that way. And remember, nothing's really, like once this pond overflows, it flows back into this area anyway. So that area has not gotten any drier really. It still turns into the, I mean, it's just basic. It's almost like more water has been added. Now this comes here and it overflows here and goes out there, but it still overflows the pond and goes out there. And if there's ever a hurricane or a big enough rain, this whole valley from about here all the way down that way is flooded anyway. And so there's always going to be a swamp there. You can't really get rid of the swamp and the mosquitoes. I don't even know if you should get rid of the swamp. But I can make this little stream of water here and build this up and plant me, cut these trees down, let light in, and put a strip of fruit trees and nut trees all the way across. And then have all this forest to mulch it really easily. And then they both benefit. All these animals here, they could use some more fruit and nuts to eat. And there are a lot of animal foot tracks around here sometimes. So animals are able to drink this water better than mosquito infested muddy water, which, I mean, it's not flowing so fast that there probably isn't stagnant areas with mosquito larvae in it. But at least mosquito fish can get up into here. And they can't really go up there and go nowhere. It just turns into dirt, you know. They can swim up to about where it's dammed up at that tree and maybe tunnel under and swim to that other section. But past that, it's just out in the ground. So the mosquito fish can just go back in the pond or come up this area. One thing that I don't like that I'm working on creating a solution for is sometimes there'll be pockets of this that have water and pockets that don't, and mosquito fish will get trapped in there and then it'll dry out. The crawdads come back. They'll lay their eggs in the mud and they'll come back, but that's just death for them mosquito fish. But I guess it feeds the crow and the birds. There's already birds that eat the mosquito fish, so they're an added protein source. I'm not trying to make anything go extinct. I'm trying to make everything be able to live in harmony and add more, as much life as I can, as much different productive species of plants and animals. It looks like some of them worms that get in pecan trees are in this maple tree. I don't want that. Have you ever seen them permaculture videos where they'll have a zone they leave wild to go learn in, and then they have the areas that they manipulate the most, like they change, they study, they leave some areas wild and everything? I do that to an extent. Like there's some areas I don't want aphids, but there's other areas I like for the ants to be farming aphids. You know, I like the things to be doing well in my realm, you know. Like, I like my ants to have cattle while y'all's ants are poor and don't have no cattle. I don't really mean that, but a little bit I do. You know, what kind of king would you be if you go over to the other king and you're just like, your people are like starving and barely have any clothes? You don't want your whole kingdom to look bad. I don't want so, I don't know, I'm not even really friends with the ants too much, but I respect them for their tenacity. And I like them to, you know, I would like them to go into agriculture, grow their funguses and their cattle and quit biting my feet. Stay busy. See, this place is filling up. There is a whole, ooh, look at that. Oh, y'all missing it? Y'all missing it? Oh, yeah, I got some audience back. This is a very shy bird. He always flies off when I come near. I'm really amazed that he hasn't flew off and that he's just here chilling. And he's another, you know, he's not getting bit by as much mosquitoes, and he can eat mosquito fish now. He can wade around in these shallow waters, and he probably eats a lot of bullfrogs. This is a bullfrog rich area. See, ain't that beautiful? Now somebody somewhere would probably be like, We need to regulate the use of private property and not let these people have any say of how they do their property. But people who care about their property are going to improve it, and it's going to improve for wildlife. So the best thing the city could do is just leave us alone and not regulate us. See, the wildlife is doing just fine because we want our property to be good. We don't want it to be destroyed. We don't want to destroy the plants or animals. We want to pass them to the next generation. And I also love this kind of, I don't know, it's just, y'all probably wish, and I do too now, that I just kept the camera on the bird. I've lost him. But I just love this. I love this. That now, I can walk out here and see deer and bullfrogs and cranes and crows. And see, this is what I'm talking about. So all that water flows down that stream and it comes into this pond. And then this is the low point, which you see I've been trying to build it up. But this is the low point, and it'll eventually flow back out and come to the same spot it would have come anyway. Except it provides water for animals all along the way now, instead of it just being a mudslide. You know what I'm saying? Now this place here where the water used to drain out, it still drains out at the same volume, but now it has to get a little higher before it drains out, which is probably why this valley floods a little bit. But it's part of the plan. There's going to be a serpentine ditch dug through this part too, to drop for the water to flow through and for there to be fruit trees and nut trees. And a lot of these trees are going to remain. Over there, they're going to stay in their natural state. But over here, they'll be cut down about knee high and allowed to regrow. And I can harvest branches off of these maples and you harvest them for mulch or firewood or charcoal. But I can also leave them in the woods at a lower level where they're not shading out as much and where the maple seeds can be ate by deer. And they come in here and they eat them. And that just lets me see more deer. I have other places I can hunt deer. I can let them get to where they're used to me over here and be free pets. Not really pets. They're like free. I'm not domesticating them. They're free to come and go or whatever. But they'll get to the point to where they trust me enough I can get a better look at them. I really want to clear this water up with plants, but the fire ants are just determined to eat all the water plants that I buy. But there's got to be something. I'll figure something out. I'm not going to give up. Now that I'm not running my chainsaw, I got service here again. This is a survival challenge or something? No, it's just land management. I worked a long time to buy this property, and I like being in the woods. I like farming, fishing, and hunting. I like wildlife. I like being in nature. And just for fun, I like building huts and I like survival stuff like for fun. But this is not really everything. We should always be trying to survive. Nobody over here is trying to die, I hope. And it's about improving. Like I want there to be more food per square foot than there was before. I want future generations to be able to eat food cheaper. Fruits, nuts, berries. It's also, they're making a bunch of lab-grown food, and I don't trust a lot of the food now, and so I want my own source of food. So part of it is about not trusting government authority and just wanting to be able to supply my own food. I know what they want. They want everybody to get on food stamps and artificially raise the price of food. And then they want to make it to where you just about can't afford food without it. And then they want to control the people that way. Say, well, if you want to eat, do what we say. If you don't do what we say, you can't eat. And they're trying to ban small farms. And that's what they want to do. They want to be able to say, if you don't obey what we are pushing, you won't be able to eat. And probably all these communists will eventually get their way. And they'll abolish private property. They'll see people like me as a villain, even though I worked very, very, very hard. I didn't take on no bank debt that would lead to inflation. I worked completely out of the Rothschild system. I did not let the bank make any money. I had a contract with somebody, where I made payments to buy the land. So no bank loan was made, no inflation of the US dollar. I just worked, and out of my check, you know, I was in this contract, and I made payments and I bought the land. The bank never got a dime of it. It never inflated the currency. I didn't play into the Rothschild system, and doing it that way made it a lot harder. But I done it, and now I've got land free and clear that the bank doesn't own, that didn't debase the currency to get it. No debt, just bought it, got it. And now I want to be able to, you know, I have enough land to be able to feed me. This land can feed way more than one person. This land can feed several families, and it's right on the edge of a little town. And my mama owns a restaurant there, and so certain vegetables that she uses in her restaurant all the time, I'm gonna grow those vegetables. And I've got honeybees and honey and all these fruit trees for jelly. And I'm going to try to build me a little business on the side, selling fruit jellies mostly and honey. And maybe, you know, it might just be a little extra money, but maybe one day I'll be able to quit working for other people and have my own company and just keep the overhead low. I'm not trying to grow it really big, but and then I'd be able to work out of my home and have more time for family and friends. And that's my goal, is freedom, really. It's not like Will Survives or Primitive Technology, but as a hobby, I do love that kind of stuff. But this is I'm off of work today and just doing what I like doing. Brittany's tired, so she's resting, taking a nap. She's going to join me later. This right here, I'm going to replace it with copper wire, but I've got 11 or 12 gemstones in this reed. This is a Brittany's hairband, holding it together till I get the wire around it. Move from San Antonio, Texas to Georgia. The neighbor said, we'll help you move, and they stole my rock collection, and they stole my arrowheads and stuff like that. And maybe that's why I made this purchase when I really didn't. I got a lot more of them at the house, but I paid about $20, and I kept saying, you don't need to buy that. What do you need? That's a vain purchase. What do you need a shiny rock for or whatever? But I just kept wanting them, and eventually I bought them, and I already showed some of them last night. But that's tiger eye. I got some of them that are a prettier shape to them and shinier at the house, but you can kind of see what it is. I don't even know what a lot of these are. Most of these I don't know what it is. I don't know what that is. It's kind of red, like a hint of yellow or a little orangish to it. It's not all the way red. I get that one. You're just not going to see any. I'm about to show you what kind of rocks you see around here. That looks kind of like the universe or something, like, or maybe I think of a planet. This isn't like this isn't lapis like the other ones. This is some other kind of blue rock. This one looks like it's blood red, like swirls in it, and some white. Okay, this is a really pretty tiger eye stone. It shines like that. I don't know what this yellow one was. I just got it because it was yellow. They come together in a pack. It's got swirls of some kind of white rock. Now I'm going to show you the kind of rocks that are around here. And they're, hey, you're back. I will post this video, and there's some fish on it and some gemstones and some other stuff that you might have missed, like chickens in the creek. But I'm coming up. I just showed some gemstone, polished gemstones. And now I'm coming over here to show you the kind of boring type rocks that we normally look at around here. They're almost all clay rocks and some quartz, but it's nothing like in North Georgia. In North Georgia, up there at the foothills and where the rivers start, there's all these quartz crystals that are in the shape like diamond, like cut crystals just naturally. There's all kind of flexible mica. There's all kind of fool's gold, all kind of different pretty rocks of all kinds. But down here, it's all the same stuff here. It's all just, well, there's some flint, but it's mostly like clay rocks, little pieces of quartz, but they're never really in any kind of shape of any kind of crystal. They're just like broken bits. I dug this out of there, you know. It was pretty much sand. Right there is like on the top of orange clay. If I dug that out, there's orange clay up under it. It's kind of filled back in so you don't see it. The topsoil is eroded and washed down there, and I've put some purple hull peas down there late in the season. I don't know. I'll probably get a crop off of them before the end of the year. But they're really there for no reason. They were there for me to just test kind of how much water come in the area. Some of these fish. If you take these mosquito fish and you put them in the pond down there where bluegill and other things eat them, they keep looking like regular mosquito fish. They go for camouflage. But if you put them in an area like this and you remove all the predators, over time they start breeding for beauty. Who's flashiest, who shows off, you know, who's unique. That's a value that they can only afford to have without the predators. When they have the predators, they value stealth. But when they don't have any predators, they focus on beauty. So after a few generations, they'll be. But this isn't a good place for an experiment for that, really, because even though there's not water predators in here eating them, there are birds if they get too flashy. So because of birds preying on them, this is not really a place to test that. But it's been proven. Other people have done it, and that's what starts to happen. I'm gonna buy some more chainsaw gas and chain bar lube, and I'll cut the rest of that out a different day. Here is a peach tree that I had planted years and years ago that I thought died, and it's come back, but it's probably what's coming back below the graft. But because it's alive, I'll bring it water from time to time. And the cedar tree, I had it in some videos a while back. I'm thinking about leaning a bunch of sticks up against that fallen tree and just making a shelter there. Temporary place to drink a cold drink and smoke or something while I'm resting. Here's that cedar tree. It had almost turned yellow. It almost looked like it was going to die. Some of the leaves on some of the branches died. But overall, it's got living branches at the top, in the middle, and the bottom. And I think it's going to be just fine. I think it's going to get through the winter just fine. I've mulched it with these pine cones. The soil moisture feels, it feels damp. And this is one of them trees that where I was digging, it was in the path and I did not want to kill it. And so I moved it over here to save it. And I'm glad that it didn't just come here and get forgot about and dry out and die. This is kind of like the acacia tree. It's native and it's smaller. And their leaves help make the soil more fertile. Hey, it's pretty cool, ain't it? It's pretty cool that I got that bird on this live. That's really cool, I think. There's 2 or 3 of them. Because there's a darker one, and there's a white bird and a dark bird. And they normally take off and fly when I'm anywhere near them. And they make a lot of noise to take off. And they're shy. They never want me to be anywhere around them. And so I'm really glad I got that on camera. When I post it, you'll be able to go back and see that bird walking in the woods with that curved bill, a long-legged brown bird. I don't know what it was, really. There's them watermelons. I think I'm just gonna leave them here for the fox to eat them. I've got watermelon seeds. I've ate watermelon already. Maybe I should just eat them later though. When I see these trees with these yellow leaves, it makes me want to water them, but I felt the soil and I know the soil moisture is where it's supposed to be. There's some oregano. I got another patch of it up ahead. I'm just gonna check the soil. They don't really like their roots being just, yeah, there's plenty of water in the soil from all this rain. What I need to do is I need to prune them and I need to mulch them. And I'm gonna come out here. I don't want it to get snaky out here. I'm gonna get a lawnmower and I'm gonna cut out some paths. I do like to keep some tall grass because you see how there's like a lot of grasshoppers in it and insects that feed my chickens. And I like for my chickens to cost nothing. And in a land like this, like a lot of people do not do this, but if you have land like this, it's just grown up. This land here could probably have, I know it could have 20 chickens on it, more than that probably, and almost not have to feed them anything if you could keep the predators off of them and let them out all the time. I'm not saying you can do that in the winter time. You're going to need to save some food, grow some food for them to feed them through the winter. But through most of the year, you can do that. But we just... I gotta do an accounting. I gotta verify it. Here, everybody's not in here though. I'm about to shut the ones that are in here. They're a flock, so they like to stay together. So whichever stragglers there are, they'll eventually go to where the majority of the flock is. So I'll shut it off and I'll come back and the stragglers will be around the door trying to get in and I'll let them in. Or they'll sometimes want to be difficult and I'll have to keep running around the other side. Sometimes I think that they're out and they've dug up under that pallet. So I'm going to check again before I leave and do a count. And if they're all on the... I really want to go a third time and buy another batch of buff chickens, but I think I'm just going to wait. Oh, there's two right